Well, good morning. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do a revisit. I posted up my fruit rolls video, and it occurred to me after some thought that it doesn't really fit with what I'm doing here on the channel. One, because it didn't have how to do anything in there. It just showed you putting them together off of recipes that weren't posted yet. And two, this is all about really making baking fun and accessible, and a 3-day project isn't really fun or accessible for a lot of people. So we're going to come back to the fruit rolls and do a quick revisit and show you how to do it all step by step and do it in hours and not days. So that's what we're doing today. We've got everything laid out here, so just quickly run through it. We got our flour. This is 3.5 and half cup, or this is double O flour. So we've got 448 grams and 64 grams here of the double O flour. This is water. I've got 1.25 cups of water here. This is 1/4 cup or 28 grams of goat milk powder. That's this one here. You don't have to use that. If you are not doing that, you would want 1.25 cups of milk and a 1/4 cup of water, and skip the powder, obviously. Half a stick of butter, that would be 57 grams. I don't know why I had to look that up. I should know it. Those are for something else. 1 packet of the active dry yeast. This is 48 grams of sugar, which is about 1/4 cup. 1 large egg, 6 grams of salt, or a teaspoon. And that is what we have for our dough. Okay, so the first step that we have, you can skip if you're using the milk. Let's see if I can find a spot for this. My coffee is in my normal spot. Let's move the coffee pot. There we are. Yeah, as I was saying, the first step you can skip if you're using milk. We're just going to take our sugar here, tip it into the milk powder. Whisk that in and get it smooth. The milk powder does tend to clump, so this will break up the clumps, and the sugar will help keep it from forming clumps as badly when you go to mix it into the water. So now our water we need to put in the microwave and heat up. We want 120 degrees. This needs to be pretty specific. So if you don't have a thermometer, you can pick them up pretty cheap. This type, it's a mechanical thermometer. These are pretty cheap, or if you want to go a little fancier, you can get the digital ones. But you do need a fairly specific range of temperature for this, otherwise you'll just kill your yeast and it won't work. So you do need to know the temperature of your liquids here. Whoa. Okay, my butter is room temperature, my egg is room temperature. They've been out overnight. It's not quite 7 o'clock yet. Look at this one. It actually makes sense. 68 degrees at the counter level. I got another thermometer because I'm tired of trying to figure it out by fours. Because every other thermometer on Earth goes by 2 or 1. Oh no, I got a tumor now. I got close to the microwave. Okay, so while that's going, I'm going to go ahead and pop out my mixer. We're going to go ahead and use the mixer for this today. If you don't have a mixer, you can do this part by hand. It is quite a bit easier to just throw it in the mixer and go, but you can definitely make this dough by hand. I've done it in my pizza rolls video, which I'm currently editing it on this trip. So it should be up before this one. I won't promise it because last time I did that was in the last fruit rolls video and that didn't work out. So throw the thermometer in there, let it take its temperature while we wait and set this up. So obviously we're making dough. You're going to want your dough hook on here. If you are using the mixer, what you don't want on at the moment is you don't want the bolt on the mixer because we're going to do stuff with it in a minute. So go ahead and pull that off. Finish getting this plugged in and stuff, and then we will move to... So I am just over 120, and that's fine at this point. Just keep an eye on your water temperature. Don't go forward until you get down to where it needs to be in the next step. So now we've got our sugar and milk powder. We will pour all of this water right in here and whisk it all together. You're probably going to get little bits of floaty chunks of the milk powder that didn't mix in. That's fine. They'll be okay. If you mix it well with your sugar, you'll avoid a lot of that. Like I said, the sugar helps to keep it from clumping together like that. The hot water will actually take the milk powder better than cold water. So it actually works better to do with hot water. Let's see, tip you forward here and see if you can. So we've got our sugar and milk mixed in here. This is still warm. Now what we want to do is we want to put our thermometer back in here. Give it a minute to read. What we're looking for at this point is 115. Don't go forward with this until you have that. Now, a side note, if you're not using powdered milk, you can add your water to the milk and then you can heat it up and aim for that 115-ish. So right now we are actually a little on the cold side. Dang, I just put that away. I'm going to have to put this back in it. Warm it back up some. Now, normally, 120 works well. But sometimes weird stuff happens and you end up a little on the cold side. And I'm pretty sure I know what I forgot to factor in there today. It is a little chilly outside. It's early morning. My cupboards haven't started heating up from the sun, and my bowl clearly is colder than usual. So the thermal transfer into this nice metal bowl brought my temperature down further than normal. I'm not going to go very long because it might be an old microwave, but it's usually pretty quick heating things up. It's got a lot of power. So at 115 is ideal for this. Normally you're looking for a range of 110 to 115. That will work fine. I just have found in this particular recipe that 115 is the magic number. So we'll put this in there. We may very well have overshot. So we'll see where we're at. Meanwhile, I'm going to grab a paper bowl here. Okay, we're back to 120 again. So we did go a little over. That's okay. We can let it rest. So we've got our room temperature butter. We're just going to make it liquid butter. And you can speed the cooling process of your milk by stirring it. You don't have to go crazy. It's not going to take it very long to drop that few degrees. Okay, we have our butter mostly melted here. Just going to go ahead and take another whisk here. Go in my flour before I move on to the next thing here. Just go through and make sure I don't have any big clumps in there. You can definitely sift this if you wish. You don't have to. You can just whisk out the lumps if you have any, or just like I'm doing, you can just whisk it to make sure you don't have any clumps in there. I just opened this bag, so it's not likely to have a lot of clumping. Okay, we're getting almost down there. So we will rotate this around here. Yeah, we are at our temperature 115. Goes pretty quickly with this volume of material. If you're making a huge batch of something, then this might take longer, but okay, so now we're going to take our yeast. And we are going to just pour this right into our milk mix. There's a lot of static in these little foil packs. So if you just tip it and dump, a lot of it will stick right in the bag. So just give it a couple good flicks on the end of the pack, and you will knock that right into the mix here. And stir that in. And now we're going to go ahead and we'll set the timer for 5 minutes just so I don't forget, but I'm pretty sure it'll be showing some significant signs of life well before that. So back over to this side, we are going to take our butter. Holy crap, who tightened the heck out of that? probably me, since I doubt the cat's figured out how to do that. Okay, so we're just going to whisk this, get the clumps that are not quite fully melted into the liquid there. We're going to take our egg here, crack it right into the butter. Add our salt. Now go gentle with the whisk here, because this butter, it's not going to whisk right into the egg. So you get too excited here, you're just going to fling your butter all over the place. So small motions, or a big bowl, or if you have one of them hand crank egg beater mixers things, that would probably work pretty good here too. You don't have to like beat this till it's pale or anything. We're just incorporating the yolk and the sugar, the salt, and the butter. There we are. And we can take this right into the mixer bowl. And meanwhile, let's see what's going on over here. What did I say? Look at all that yeasty bubbles, and oh yeah, it's going wild. They like that warm, sugary milk. So we've got 3 minutes on that. 5 minutes is just a guideline, usually. Usually, if you have good, healthy yeast, you'll see the proof of life. That's actually why they call it proofing. You're proving that your yeast is still alive and not dead in there. But yeah. Anyway, if at 5 minutes your yeast doesn't have nice bubbly, foamy islands of brown on top of your milk mix, your yeast is dead. It's not going to work. And you're going to have to go get some fresh yeast and start over. Yeast has a shelf life. If you don't use it a lot, it's best to just buy it when you need it. It's not something that just like hangs out in the pantry for years and keeps working fine. So that's the proofing process. That's the purpose of the proofing process, is to make sure that your yeast has survived until you're ready to use it, and brings it back to a vital state where it can do its job. So now we have mixed that yeast milk mix into the egg and butter mix. We want to grab our big bowl of flour. So we've got about 3.5 cups in here. So we're going to add about 1/3 at a time. You can grab a cup if you want and scoop it in here. The 3 stages we're going to see in this. We're going to have a loose pancake batter stage. I don't know if this would actually work as a pancake batter. That's just what I call it, because that's what it looks like, is pancake batter. And just get it mostly smooth. Okay, we're going to add another 1/3 or so. We're going to go to what I call the paste stage. where we go from this thin dough to a thick pasty batter. Oh, sorry. You probably bounced all over doing that. I only have two hands and they're both busy, so I had to do it that way. Sorry. Okay. Everybody's favorite audio moment. Okay, so now we have our pasty goo. We have the last third or so of flour. We're going to go ahead and just right in the bowl and all over the countertop and everywhere else. Because if you're not making a mess, you're not having fun, right? And if you're not having fun, you shouldn't be having what you're doing. Unless you have to. You know, this is your job, then you're watching the wrong channel. Coffee. Not booze, coffee. This isn't that channel. Okay, so now we have our flour in here. In case you missed it, it's in there. So we're going to go ahead and throw this on here. And go ahead and wipe the goobers out of this. I'm going to go ahead and transfer my other flour into this paper bowl. Wiped it out. Now it's ready to use again for the flour. So I'm going to go ahead and start on one. And what we'll watch for is for this to incorporate into the mix here. Got a new light. I'm just trying to figure out if I have anywhere over here I can. It's magnetic, and it's not lightly magnetic. But I don't have anything. Well, oh, okay. I have the sink. The sink is magnetic. The stainless steel sink. Stainless. Okay. Anyway, we're going to go on one. I need more coffee or less coffee. And since this is my first cup, I'm going to go with more. And we want to try and do this without interrupting anything, because this time is going to matter. So here, let me switch to the back screen so I can see what we're looking at. You can see your hook is starting to pull together this dough. It looks like it's just going to make a mess, but I've learned to trust the process, and this is a process that always looks like it's not working until it looks like it's working. So now you can kind of see it's starting to pull. It's bringing in that flour from the sides. Over here you can get a good example. And there we go. As it starts to come together, it's going to fling that dough out, and that dough, as it flings around, is going to pull the dough and the flour off the bowl. And if you end up with just a bit of flour left on the side of the bowl, that'll be okay. I wish they could make a touchscreen that works worth a darn. So now that it's brought most of that in, I'm going to go ahead and add some of this in here. explain this here in just a second. So the reason this half cup here is separate from the rest of it is because it is technically not always required. That'll depend on your specific batch. With the goat milk powder and the way that I do this, I have used it every single batch that I've made this way. Previously, I've made this with milk. That doesn't always require it. So if you're using milk, you may not need all of that. This is what you're looking for, is for it to come together and look like a nice dough. If you get to that and you haven't added all of that extra bowl yet, then you'll want to wait a little bit and see if it starts sticking to the sides of the bowl. Then you'll want to add a little more until you get it to where it pulls the dough off the sides and doesn't see how it's grabbing any little bit that sticks. As it comes back around, it pulls it back off. That's where you want this to be. And then the reason that this time is important, if you don't have a clock on your mixer, that's totally fine. You can set a timer instead. When you turn it on, set the timer for 15 minutes. This will go 10 to 15 minutes. I've found pretty consistently with my particular mix, 12 minutes is the mark. So I'm going to go ahead and stop that at 12 minutes. If you're doing it by hand, it'll be a little easier because you'll have your hands on it and you'll know when it comes together and it's smooth. Same time frame though, 10 to 15 minutes. So we're just going to let that go. Okay, so we're back. It's been 12 minutes on the dot. So we are going to go ahead and pull this dough out of the mixer, get it into the bowl. So when you pull your dough hook up here, it's going to want to cling to this dough. So just take your spatula and run it right down the hook. That'll cut it open and let it come right off of there. Any that doesn't, just go ahead and push it right off of here. Okay. And we've got, it's tacky, but it's not sticky. That's where we want it to be. If you stick your spatula, like not glue it to it, but if you set your spatula on there and pull it away, it should come away from the dough. If it tries to cling to your spatula, you probably should have added a little more flour, and you may need to go a little longer kneading it. But now we're just working it off the sides of the bowl with the spatula, because it's not sticking to it, it's just hanging on it. So we're gonna work, see if I can, we're just pulling it off of the wall. Just set the spatula, see if I can show you the motion. Just set it on there, kind of pull. It'll encourage it to roll along the bowl and out instead of hanging on there. Boy, I can't step up there. The refrigerator's there. Okay. But I can and do something else. I can pull this forward. Okay. Now we've got it in the bowl. We're going to wiggle it around, get it oiled here. Then we want to not dig into it. Try not to do that. But you want to roll it, get it to roll around. There we are. So that it's coated all over with the oil. And there we are. There. Okay. Now take a piece of plastic, cover it over. And this will rise for 30 to 45 minutes. You'll know when it's done because I'm going to show you when it's done what it'll look like. If you're not familiar with the process, you don't do it a lot, or even if you do, it can be helpful to take a picture of that and then you can compare it. But this one usually rises significantly. You won't have to ask if it's risen. Okay, well, we're back. The other recipe is in the oven. Tick, tick, tick. That's my timer. Okay. So that took a little while. So we're about an hour, and as you can see, we're ready to move on. In fact, we are so ready to move on. I did not even have a chance to do my dishes between. So, things are a little messy in here at the moment. Okay, so we got our mat out here. We went through this process before, but I didn't show it that well in. So, just want to go through it quickly. We're going to flour our working surface here. One of the biggest things I didn't feel was immediately approachable in the last video was using fresh jam. I don't know how many people are up to making that. And so that was one thing I wanted to update. I'm going to degas this a little bit and get it out of the bowl onto the mat. And it's going to take some flour. This was slow risen last time. This is just no fresh or slow rise. Just made this. It's been about an hour. So the last batch of these took 3 days to make. The goal today is to make this a much faster process. So we're working this. Give it a quick knead here. Keep our surface floured. So as I was saying, the jam was one aspect that I wasn't satisfied with, because I know a lot of people are not looking to make jam, and commercial jams don't work well in baking, in my experience. One, because it's hard to find one that's not 99.9% garbage, and two, they tend to de-gel significantly in the oven, and you lose most of it So we are going to stretch this. It's going to take a little more time because this is not going to be the slow risen, well relaxed version of the dough that we had before. We're also going to need probably more flour because it's tending to more sticky. Ultimately, though, the process is the same. You want to work the thick spots towards the outside. So try to avoid getting any spot too thin. Okay. So we've got our rectangle. It's 24 inches long this way. This way it's about 14. Okay. So we'll mark here. And we'll mark. Okay. Just threw me for a loop there. Okay. The two sides start from the opposite ends. That's what really threw me for a loop. So I was expecting to see 12 and saw 24. This one's not going to be long enough. So we'll use this one this way too. Okay. Okay, come on. You can do it. You can do it. Don't you make me scream. Just do what I want. Okay, so we can close this up. Get the flour out of the way here. Okay. Got an older dog next door. Sounds like it's got similar health problems as my buggy had before she went. Unfortunately, when they get older, some of them dogs don't. Oh, there it's over. Okay. Okay, so we'll do the lemon one first. And now, probably a good time to go ahead and get out the pans because this part's always so nice and neat and clean. Oh, we're getting low on time. Okay, so we got our pan well coated with oil. Set this over here for a moment. And okay, so I've got probably 2/3 of the can on here for now. Get this on here and spread it out. Now the apple is going to require an extra step because we're not making a pie, we're making rolls, which, as the name implies, requires rolling this up, which means those big slices of apple, of which I'm sure there's 3, maybe 4 in there, are going to be a problem. So we'll have to take those and make them smaller. Now you want to leave about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch clear on this end, just to give you a spot to help start rolling. You can run it right to the edge if you really want to. It's up to you, but I've found having that clear little piece at the edge makes it easier to get it off the sheet. Now you can, if you're making a single batch with 1 filling and this is all together, you can use this to help you roll it up. I won't be doing that because if I rolled this up, it's gonna mess up that one. I have some smaller ones in there, but it's not worth the effort to go grab them and put these on separate sheets. Alternatively, I could have separated this dough and rolled it into individual pieces on separate sheets before, or spread it out. I didn't really roll it out, but that's a preference thing also. I just didn't feel like messing with weighing it out and cutting it into 2 pieces and then doing all that. You want to leave a couple of inches at the end clear. You may or may not, depending on how relaxed and stretched your dough got, you may or may not use the entire jar or can of filling. That's okay. Don't feel like you have to shove it all in there. The lemon one particularly is going to go farther because there's no pieces. At the same token, there's no pieces to hold the dough in place, so it's going to have more of a tendency to want to roll all the filling like a toothpaste tube. When you roll it, it's going to want to just push it all out. So you're going to want to take it easy when you're rolling this and try not to squeeze out the lemon as you roll the dough. If you have a bunch of flour on the backside in any spots like that, just kind of brush off what you can. A little extra in there is not going to be horrible. This is going to be a gooey mess, I'm sure. And then you just pick up this last piece that's clean. That's why you want it clean. So you can pick it up, bring it over. That will close up your rolls. And now for the fun, messy part. Once again, this mat is not intended for cutting. Okay, so we've got so we're going to go for about 2 inches. If you the one I'm cutting. There we are. And you want to go in the direction of the roll when you're picking these up. So it's rolling that way. So you want to roll under as you pick it up. And I'm just going to set this right here. It's just kind of serving as a guide at the moment, not really an accurate means of measurement. So these don't have to be precise unless you really want them to be precise. And then go for it if that's what you need or want to do. Okay, then just kind of scoop them up, tip them sideways into the cup on the muffin pan. You can do these in a 9x13, as I explained in the pizza roll video. The reason that I don't is that it just kind of makes it difficult to separate them out, which it's like cinnamon rolls. You get the batch and they all kind of cook together. That's not a huge deal, but at the same time I didn't want them to be that way. So I put them in here. I also have some small Pyrex bowls. As if you watch the pizza rolls video, I used those for some of the pizza rolls and they worked pretty well. I could use those for these also. But what I am going to do is I'm going to take some of this, probably not all of it, but some of this filling that's left, I'm going to put on the top as these cook. Some of this filling is going to run down into the cup of the pan, and that's normal, but doing it with some on top, that will run down into the roll. And I'm trying to get them squarish in here so that they're... Now this one, pick it up the same way, but you want to go with the outside edge of the roll down. That's just going to make it a little neater in there when it cooks. Okay, so now let's see if I can get you somewhere where you can see so I've got these. I'm not going to like stuff them. I just want to take a little extra filling and just top them off. Like I said, that'll just mostly cook down into the rolls anyway. And then when you take these out, they'll go onto a parchment lined sheet so that the filling can sit on that parchment and finish setting up. But when you take them out, some of this filling is going to fall out into the pan. You can just scoop that out of there and right onto the top of the roll that it came out of, and it will settle down into it and set. Okay, so that's these ones. Now these need to rise again. Like any good zombie, they've got to rise again. And I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get in here with an offset and just square this little feller up a little because it's laying down on the job and it's annoying me. Okay. Now, so we'll set this one aside to start the process of rising again. Joy. Okay, now where's my can opener? If you don't know this, your can opener has a bottle opener on it. You can use that to open a pop top can when the pop top fails. I learned that by accident. Wow, this one's actually pretty good. I need to get on my coffee. I haven't even finished my first cup yet. Okay, so these into the bowl. Some of you may well have guessed the next step here by observing the other tool that I got out, if you saw it. I'm not sure if it was ever visible on the camera because I don't remember what I did when I took it out. But you can get some of that gel out of there. But the other tool, aside from the spatula, is this feller. So you just take this guy, get in there. These are a little harder than I'm used to from canned pie filling, but you don't have to make like mashed potato texture. You just want to take these big pieces and break them up into smaller pieces. That will spread better and roll nicer. And from here, the process is pretty similar. Why are you doing that? Okay, so coffee. Oh. I wonder how nasty this coffee is going to taste in the pot. It's been there long enough that it's like cooked down. Leave the lid off so it'll be ready to drink in 10 minutes. Okay, so this stuff is not going to matter where the patches are if they aren't perfectly sealed together and smooth and flat and all that. That's not going to make any big difference. So we're going to go ahead and spread out our apple. Same thing, you're probably not going to need the entire half of a batch is 2 cups of jam. These cans are 21 ounces. They're 7/3 of a cup. So that's 2 1/3 for those that don't like fractions. So you've got slightly more in 1 can of pie filling than what you would use for jam. So if you have a bit left over, don't be surprised. This is more chunky than a jam. So these rolls are probably going to be a little less perfectly formed, which, I mean, they're not perfectly formed, but they're going to have more stuff in between the layers because the fruit isn't going to roll as compactly as jam. You could, if you so desired, take your immersion blender instead of a potato masher and kind of chop some of this up. You could do like half of this, mash it, put half of it on, and then blend up the rest, and then put it on and mix it together so you have some that's thin like sauce and the chunkier, fruitier stuff. It's all up to you. Like I said, this is just trying to make this recipe easier and more accessible to those who are not comfortable spending 3 days in the kitchen to make pastries and delectables. Now, to be fair, one of those days I spent making the jam, which I have jam left, so next time if I did it the same way it would be 2 days, but still that's a long process if you're not into it. So this, we were at active time probably half an hour so far. Okay, now are we on? We are not even on the mat, but we can still do it. Okay, so we're going to fold this up. And this is why having this clean helps. So you can pull it up off of the mat and have a clean strip to grab without having to grab the fruity part. Now, this is what I was saying about using the mat to roll it. Stop short and then come this way. This side you want the extra width because some will push that way and cover part of it, and then you want unfruity roll here to bring down and close that up with. Now we'll go ahead and set this up. End it up a little over, so we push our ends in. Set that there, and then stop. If you just add it in your head, in the name of love, you're awesome. If instead you happen to add, or my mom will shoot, I think we're friends. Okay, so now we can proceed. And that step should be done before this step because, what am I doing? Oh, that's right, I had it over there for that. Okay. Because once these are cut, they should go right into the pan, and you're just going to have to wait. Oven, I know you're done cooking, and leaving you too long will turn cooking into burning, but this is cut now, so it has to go in the pan. I just explained that. Okay, there we go, in, and lovely. Okay, so now let me check on those, and I'll be back in a moment. Okay, we are back at it here. I certainly was not filming another video. Really, I wasn't filming another video for several minutes there. Anyway, let's see. So we got one in here, and I kind of wish I had thought of using the offset to straighten these up in here before, because trying to get in there with the fingers doesn't work very well because these are very soft, and as soon as they hit the pan they pick up a little bit of the oil off of the pan and they become very slippery, and soft slippery things are not the easiest to handle with your fingers. And this spatula just doesn't work as well for this because it's thick, and it's got this lip right here. I don't know how, yeah, you can see it right there. The green one does too, but it's not as prominent. And my nice favorite ones that work really well for this, they were not used in another video moments ago that I haven't had a chance to clean up from yet. So they're taking a moment to recover from their morning exercise. Yeah, well, that's it. They went exercising this morning. No, just playing. Yeah, I used those when I was doing the other video, and as you saw, this dough was not waiting for me to wash my dishes, so oh, that doesn't work quite as well. This one's stickier than the plastic one, but that worked. Someday I will have a spark of inspiration, and I will grab something and stick it in there, and it will slide right in, and it will be like a miracle, like somebody created it just for the purpose of picking up fruit rolls and putting them in the muffin pan. And I'm going to put these in here because that one's got more in it already anyway. And when that day comes, I will be sure to celebrate and mention it to some, to my viewers. I'll let you know if that day should come along. And nope, I'm not going to try it with the knife because that would make a mess. Okay, so now we can take this and scoop this right up and in, and lovely. So you can see what I was talking about. See how this one is not blunt? It slides in there and picks those up. So much easier. I was going to buy more of these because I like this one, so I went to a different Ace, which the place I got this is it's an Ace and outdoor store. And I was at a different Ace and got sticky, and I use these almost exclusively. Even I spent $35 or some, because this was always my favorite, the Pampered Chef Scoop and Swipe, or whatever the hell they call it. I hardly use that. I use these instead because I like them. But anyway, I went back to that first store when I was going to grab more of them. I was going to grab like 4 of them, but they didn't have any. I was so mad. And this Ace here, like literally right down the road, I've been there twice in the last 2 days. They don't have them in there. Or honestly, I would have been tempted to just buy whatever they had in there, because I like these and they make my life so much easier. And the reality is, if you find a tool in the kitchen that makes your life easier and you enjoy using, there's no reason not to buy more of them. I mean, unless, if you can't afford to, then don't steal them. Just, you get what I'm saying. You want to enjoy what you're doing, so get tools that you enjoy using. And $7 spatula can sure run circles around a $30 spatula if it works well. And it can. See, it says, it even tells you right there on it, yes, it can. Okay, so now these rest and rise half an hour to 45 minutes. You can probably tell these are already rising as I was making them. So these ones are actually ready to go in. The lemon ones are actually ready to go in. And small problem. I only have room for one batch at a time in the oven, and they don't bake really, really fast. So I'm gonna have to dig this little bastard out and put a batch in there. No big deal. I just have to find a spot to move my coffee and stuff, and then clean this off and get it out of the way. But that means one of these is going to go in now, and one's going to go in a couple of minutes when I get this all square. And fortunately, I do have rack space for all of these today. Quick preview, if that video didn't go up first. I don't know which one is going to go up first. Probably this one, because I already put up the first one that I'm revisiting. So this one's probably going to go in between videos. It's more of a, oops, I shouldn't have put that video up out of sequence, and I did it for a reason, and the reason, you know, I don't know that it served that purpose as well as I hoped, and probably wasn't worth skipping over all the steps that came before that showed how to do that. This one puts everything together, plus it's a faster, easier way to do it that's more approachable. So it's going to go up as kind of a, oops, I did that wrong, here's the right way video. Not the first time I did something that I needed to go back on. It's probably not, it's not up yet. I don't know if it'll come up before this one or not, but Mom's birthday cake, the frosting that goes along with that, you'll see. If you watch that video, that took a couple of tries to get it on film right. I did it right, I just didn't film it properly. So anyway, I'm rambling because I haven't finished my coffee, and it's almost 9:45, and I haven't had breakfast yet. It's still in the fridge, and I haven't even zapped it and ate it yet. So probably going a little low on blood sugar, and I get into that zoom. So I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna make myself stop, and I'm gonna put one of these in the oven, and I'm gonna get the other oven dug out and get the other one in there. 325, which is 350 on my electric. Buy some good thermometers. Not sponsored. I don't know where you can get these generally. I got it at US Food Chef Store. These are CDN. All three of these actually read the same in the same spot in the oven, unlike everything else. The other one I found, this one by Taylor, it's like a mercury type with the liquid in there that reads, not the actual dial. This one is actually pretty accurate. The other two were off by as much as 50 degrees, so they're gone. But get a good thermometer for your oven because it matters. The temperatures matter. So if you're always baking and things are burning every time, it might be your oven's too hot. Times always seem off. Could be your oven temperature. Anyway, get a good thermometer for your oven because your dials don't always, they're not always accurate. So I'm going to get honestly, the Apple ones look like they're more ready to go in. So I'll throw those in the gas oven, and then I'll get the lemon ones in the electric, and we'll come back and we'll see what these look like when they come out. See you in a few. Okay, I'm back. The rolls are done. Apple ones are out. They look spectacular. We did have a little bit here. Let me turn on the light. There we go. A little bit of a hiccup with the lemon ones, and I'll show you that. What happened was, because of the way they were rising so fast and how things proceeded, they did kind of over-rise, baked, and then kind of settled in here. So it's not a big issue. They just kind of settled. Part of that is because the lemon filling doesn't have the bulk of the apples. So I'm sure they're still delicious. We'll see. Where are you? There you are. Let's see if I can get the light over here. And those took 45 minutes. And then I finished these ones in the gas oven because the electric was really taking its time. So that also played a part of why these baked a little odd. So they should be about ready to come out of here. We'll see here. Get my spoon here. And you want these to cook till you get a nice gold on them. If you have a thermometer, you want them between 180 and 200 in the center. There's not a lot of filling coming out of these ones. The apple ones didn't have much at all because I think a lot of the liquid cooked down and then the apples just stayed in place. And there's breakfast. It's just after 11. Finally on my third cup of coffee and had enough time to stop and put breakfast in the microwave. Oh, that one's perfect right there. Got a nice gold to the outside, and then the inside is perfect. I think if we had done these opposite, it would have worked out a little better. And then setting these down is helping some because I can kind of push the sides down around the center. I think that's also part of what's happening here is the sides climbed up the pan. Here, let me bring you over here and see if I can get see how this part, it's not on the ground. This one that cooked perfect, it's down. I think what happened is these ones kind of stuck when I was setting them in and the middle part settled down. So now as I'm pulling them out, I can push this outside piece down some and level that back out. I'm not sure where the heck I had you a second ago. I think that's close enough. So they didn't really rise that far above the pan. They just kind of stuck, and the top or the sides rose at the top level, and the middle kind of sank down in there and did its rise below the level of the sides. You can see now that this is sitting in on here and level on the bottom, how that's all. So we'll take a good before. I'm not sure how much this is going to work because this one's kind of twisted sideways, the center piece in there. So I don't know if this one's going to work like that, but we'll try it and see. No, this one's not quite so. Okay, now this filling will set hopefully pretty solid. as it cools. Some of them are still kind of leaky here. These ones have been out not as long as the apple ones. The apple ones ended up sitting in the pan for a little longer than anticipated because we had a little minor emergency. So this park has hookups, but not full hookups. So I have power and I have water, but I don't have a drain. And my gray water tank is full. And if you've ever spent any amount of time in an RV, you're familiar with the reserve holding tank, also known as the shower. So I had to clean the overflow off the floor, and hopefully all the stuff that was in there, because some of my appliances live in the shower, so hopefully they survive. But so long as I allow them to properly drain and dry fully before I try using them again, they should be okay. The one I'm most concerned with is my crock pot because it was fully submerged and it's new. I've only used that crock pot one time. So if it's ruined, I'm going to be a little less than impressed, but what can you do? But what that does mean is I have a limited ability to do gray water things like dishwashing. But fortunately, I have breakfast, which is now going to be lunch, and dinner to make. Some frosting to make. And that's pretty much it. So that stuff can go into my wash bin and wait. And I can wash it when I get home. Or I can wash it and find somewhere to dump the wash water. But anyway, that's the fruit rolls version 2. I do want to do one other thing. And I'm going to show you how to make it, but I'm not going to put it on there. So I'm going to do the icing, because in the last video I showed you how the icing went on there, and I didn't explain how to make it, and I didn't put how to make it in the description because I did that on the fly and I didn't write it down, and I had to recreate it. Sometimes when you're doing this stuff, you just throw things together on the fly and you don't really think about it. So those are not for that. Let's see. Let me get my sugar quantity here. 114 grams of powdered sugar. Let me look in my little magic book and see. Powdered sugar is 120 grams per cup. So it's like 1 tablespoon short of a cup. So you might as well just call it a cup. So just shy of a cup of powdered sugar. Snap, crackle, pop, pop, crack, snap, snap, pop, crack, pop, snap, snap, crackle, pop. If you're curious what's in the microwave, I'm going to make a reel on that. I'm not going to do a video. I'm going to do a reel on my Facebook about that one. That is an omelet stuffed bell pepper. Oh, crapsicles. Okay. Get out a small shovel and scoop some of that back out of there. Because I overshot by quite a bit. I've been trying to find a good kitchen scale that measures in tenths of a gram. Because a lot of these start at 1 or 2 grams. But they aren't very accurate under 4 or 5 grams. So, breakfast, now lunch. I made it yesterday. And the intention was to make it and reheat it because they're very good reheated. So we got our cup-ish of powdered sugar in there. We are going to take 1 tablespoon of vanilla, and this is going to be icing for the apple pie rolls. It's probably not the best match for the lemon ones. I'm going to make some lemon icing for that, but I'm not going to put it on there. I'm going to save it. I will put it on later when they are getting eaten. I will actually make the lemon icing later. I'll just make this one and then save it for later. You put it on there. It doesn't last. It doesn't stay set, especially if you have to put it in the refrigerator. It will turn liquid and just look like crud. Fun fact about these, it's almost entirely alcohol, so you wipe it out. It is fine. You don't have to scrub it with soap and water. Okay, now 2 tablespoons or 60 grams of sour cream. Oh, correction, 2 tablespoons, 30 grams. Sorry, threw me off. I looked at the calories, not the... So 2 tablespoons, 30 grams of sour cream. And you're going to think this is not working, and then it will. So turn off my scale and get it out of the way. And get you down here. You haven't really missed anything here. We're just measuring out. So we got our powdered sugar, our tablespoon of vanilla, and our 2 tablespoons of sour cream. Okay, you just kind of work this in. It's going to turn into this I'm not sure where I was going with that. It's going to turn into this thick paste. I don't know how my brain translated thick into something starting with a C. I don't even know what it was trying to say. So it's going to look like this. It's going to look like you're not going to be able to make this work. But work it. And just get in there good with the whisk and scrub. And we'll break up those little powdered sugar clumps. And there is your vanilla sour cream icing. And you just drizzle that on there. If you reference this picture, if I remember to put it there, or the previous fruit rolls video, you'll see how it looks when you just drizzle it on there. That's what I put on the cherry berry rolls. It was really good on those. But like I said, I'm going to put this away. I'm going to store it in a baggie, backpack it so I can throw it in the fridge, and then I will put it on those later when it's getting to where it's getting close to time to eat them. I'm not sure when that will be. So that's pretty much it. That's it for the icing. The rolls are done. Once they're completely cooled, this will set, like I said before. That's why they're on the parchment, not right on the rack, because it would just be dripping all over everything. These ones are pretty good. They didn't really leak. They sealed up pretty well on the bottom when they were baking. But the lemon ones and the jam ones are going to be a little looser. So the parchment, they'll sit, and that jam will set. The pie filling will set. Then you can just peel them off of there. They'll stick to it, but they'll come off fairly easily with most of the filling. Anything that peels off on there, you can just scrape it off and put it back in the top. The same as when you took them out of the pan. These will keep in the refrigerator. Depending on what you put on them, the icing, like I said, it won't last in the refrigerator. It'll break down, turn liquid, and get gooey and gross. So if you're going to put them in the fridge, or you're not going to eat them right away, don't put the icing on them until you're ready to eat them. Let them set for 10-15 minutes, and that icing will set, and then you can eat them, or you can eat it with running icing. Tastes the same. But hopefully that was a little less daunting of a process than I know the original one kind of seemed like way more than it was because of the way I made it. So you definitely can make this in a couple of hours between two videos, a minor flood and musical ovens. It's not even 11:30, so 4 hours. Take out the time I spent on the other video and all that other stuff. You could start from scratch and be done with this in a couple of hours, including all of the rest time, which comes to about an hour. It's half the time. So it's not a lot of work. You can do these ahead, put them in the refrigerator in the muffin pan overnight, and then throw them in the oven first thing in the morning and have them for breakfast. Or you can bake them up, put them in the refrigerator in the morning. You can microwave them if you want them warm, ice them, have them for breakfast, either way. Or they make a great dessert, snacks, whatever. And you have other options than icing. You can make frosting, like I did white chocolate frosting for some of the ones I did, cream cheese frosting on the blackberry ones. Different toppings work great on these depending on what you put in them. Like I said, I'm going to do a lemon glaze on the lemon ones. Apple pie, you could go, I've got sour cream, vanilla. You could do just a regular glaze. You could do a caramel drizzle, all kinds of options. Make it your own. Have fun with it. These are amazing. They're definitely worth the time. And hopefully this video gives you all the information you need to do it yourself and shows you that it's not something that has to take days to make. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully it was a little more approachable in this version, and hopefully you'll give it a try. You are gonna love these. They're amazing. Pick your filling, make it your own. You can split this up like I did. You can make 2, you could make 4, you could make 12 different ones if you wanted to take the time to cut them into strips and fill them and roll them up individually. It's one that you can do as you will. Make it for everybody that wants to eat them, can have their own spin on them. So it's definitely worth giving them a try. So hopefully you can give me a like down there, and if you're not subscribed, you're going to want to subscribe. We got lots of good stuff coming up still. More stuff like this, and more stuff that's more savory, and some different things that you're not going to want to miss. So hit that subscribe, click that bell so you know when these videos are coming out. Watch me almost fall over backwards because I have vertigo. And then hopefully we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.